Bonjour and welcome to episode 2 of Bobcast in Nine Penny Kings. This episode I'm going to be talking to Ingan, the Aerys player. A little bit about what's going on with the Targaryens, plans for madness rolls, and everything along those lines, as well as talking to Norlium, the Lannister player. Just a little bit, same thing, plans for the Westerlands and, what might happen with the Ironborn and Rain. I hope you guys enjoy the gameplay that I have going as well, too, which is, surprisingly been kind of hard to put together. I didn't expect the gameplay to be the hardest part. Feel free to send in your own gameplay footage if you guys want. I'm happy to throw it in so I don't have to do it myself. But other than that, hope you guys enjoy the episode, and feel free to let your feedback be known in the Discord. Thanks. Alright, I am here with Ingan, our Aerys player. Ingan, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Are you going to be taking part? I guess you can't take part in the raffle, huh? Can't have a Targaryen wife. I already have one.
That is true, but not the VS or anything. I gotta fight melees for that.
Is he even starting with Blackfire? Do we know yet?
I think so. I saw on the claims list.
He's got a sword at least, though. I can just yank it off him. Not a big deal. So I just kind of wanted to start, maybe there's some people who don't know you as well. Maybe just starting with your history in these games, what claims you've perhaps played before, and maybe a little bit about yourself in general.
Yeah, sure thing. Well, I am Ingan. I played in these games for a few years now. I started in 7K with Botley was my first claim. And then I played King Stannis a little bit in 7K's endgame. I played in COB and ATD2 as Peak, and then Mooten and Lansdale in ATD. I think those are all the claims I did. I modded a bunch too, which is ew, right?
Rest in peace, yeah, I get it.
But other than that, I don't know. I'm 20. People make fun of my age a lot. I'm a student, but I hope I should have time to play Aerys a decent amount. There's only one character, so.
Yeah, you got that summer right now. At least we're starting now, right? Rather than
that is true.
Right around exam time or something like that.
Yeah, ATD started in September, which is right when I went back to school. So that was a bit of a blindside.
Yeah, exactly. It's at least the timing for this was a little bit better. The only thing is I would have wished that we'd started when House of the Dragon season 2 was going, but that's not for another year. So
yeah, it's a bit of the ways off.
So what was it about Aerys that really drew you to playing him, and what are kind of your personal plans, at least for playing him in the next couple of months, especially around game start?
Yeah. Well, I might reiterate some stuff I said in my app, which you can read in the doc that is posted some time ago.
Yeah, but you have to read to do that, though.
That is true. But basically, the main thing about Aerys that drew me in was his sort of transformation. You don't really get to see it in what is present in canon, but it's sort of hinted at. In canon, he is, at this point in time, a charming, generous, ambitious prince. And then you don't really see what happens next, and then the next thing you see, he's going fucking insane. Am I allowed to curse? I'm just gonna curse.
Oh yeah, you can curse, no worries.
And he's going insane at Duskendale and all that stuff. So I wanted to explore that that transition, I guess.
Yeah, especially you're gonna have time to go through it, like you said. And how do you kind of because I'm sure you've talked to the other Targaryen players. Be a little concerning perhaps if you hadn't, but do you kind of have an idea of what kind of relationship you might be going with Jaehaerys and all the other few Targaryens that remain?
Yeah, definitely. I've talked with Hawk and Keith, obviously, as my co-claimant, about Jaehaerys, Rhaella, and Aerys primarily. We spoke a little bit about the other Targs, but sort of waiting to see what the connections are for that.
Mm-hmm. Especially Rhaegar being so young still, right? He's 1.
Yeah. But I don't want to spoil what we have, but we definitely have an interesting dynamic, I think.
Awesome. And then are you going to be mainly holding up in King's Landing, you think, or are you going to be on Dragonstone?
It depends. Most of my Aerys plans sort of go revolve around a series of rolls that I made. I made a bunch of madness rolls that I'll be doing yearly. They'll be they'll be private though, so you guys can't tell what's happening with Aerys like behind the scenes. But based on that, I don't know. He could spend a lot of time at Dragonstone, or he could be really active in court.
You don't have to tell me this, because like you said, the results are going to be private. But what are the roles? Like, so we can have maybe an idea.
I mean, the general theme is like the roles are how intense his madness is in a specific year, and like what sort of form it takes.
So it might fluctuate then. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And like there's modifiers based on sort of how far from game start we are, because his madness did get more severe with age, and also modifiers for like traumatic events, because like Duskendale was a really big factor in progressing his madness along.
Yeah, exactly. And are you going to be? I mean, there's perhaps a chance of it, I guess, in the Stepstones. Will you be sending him to fight, or maybe letting him hang back a bit?
I definitely plan on having him go, so long as like I don't know, Aerys doesn't straight up just order me to like stay still. Like in canon, he's a lot younger because we had to age him up. But even then, he went and fought in the Stepstone. So I feel like it definitely makes sense for him, like 19-year-old Aerys, to want to go.
God, I hope he doesn't die.
That would be a little bit funny though, because then you're just doing Regency RP again with Rhaegar.
Oh God, I mean, I don't know. My thing is like, there's definitely like my joke is that there's going to be at least one big canon death at the start somewhere, and like I like the other ones would be equally as funny, but I think with like Aerys, I would just be so disappointed because like the potential, and I don't know, like he's like you said, he's a cool character who's not really like shown in any of the source material other than like other people's descriptions of him.
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess that kind of gives you some leeway as well too as to how you write him, because there's none of that like direct George R.R. Martin writing
about his like early characterization.
Yeah, exactly. And like, the way he perhaps spoke and stuff like that, like you're kind of given a bit more liberty.
Definitely. I've definitely made use of that liberty too.
And so do you have, obviously without going into too many details or anything like that, have you talked to like Norlium and Rangi about his childhood friendships as well too?
Yeah, definitely. We have a little chat going with the three. We're not quite the lads, but we're like close enough.
The boys.
Yeah, about 100 years too late for the lads. But, yeah, we're definitely discussing it. A consequence of Aerys being aged up is he's like Tywin's age instead of sort of being in the middle between Stefan and Tywin. So it sort of has like a maybe a little bit different dynamic than was sort of hinted at in canon.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I hadn't even realized that Tywin was 18, actually. I thought he was a little bit older. I thought he was maybe like mid-20s, and then I looked and I was like, oh yeah.
No, he's a teenager.
He's literally a teenager. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm obviously very excited to see where Aerys goes. And I know that you guys, I don't remember if it's mod implemented or if it's been you and Keat doing this, but the birth spacing rules as well for sort of like the kids.
For Rhaella, this is more Keat's arena. Like she came up with a really good system, sort of medical explanation for why Rhaella had a bunch of like stillbirths or stillborn children or miscarriages. But yeah, there will definitely be malices. I don't know about birth spacing because I mean, if you look at the different births that she had in canon, she was having like a kid like every year. So it's not really a birth spacing malice. It's more sort of a like once the child is born, if they live to survive. I don't want to give away too much because this is sort of Keat's.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, the odds of their children surviving are significantly reduced. Like I calculated it out.
Yeah, compared to everyone else.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, sorry, keep going.
Especially since what are these called? The like childhood death rolls. They are optional for all the other claimants, but we'll definitely be adding that on top of the additional rolls. So
I'm definitely gonna be using those.
Yeah, definitely.
You gotta.
It's a really good addition.
I mean, you might as well, right? Because or else you end up with too many characters at the end, and then you have like 5 of them that you don't play, and you gotta have some death here and there.
Yeah, without childhood death, I think it's like 95% of children live. So
yeah, right. It's a little too high, but I don't know. I'm of the camp of making them mandatory, but that's a hot topic. So
I do agree with you on that one, though. I'm a big fan of rolls. That's like you could pretty much summarize my Aerys plans by just having like roll me. That's basically it.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Like that's why I find with time I've started leaning more and more on the trait rolls.
Oh yeah, definitely. I didn't get the trait roll for Aerys because a bunch of his are pretty much set in canon. But,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, they're like the additional randomness is really fun.
And like it gives you. I feel like it's good to have like guidelines as to what to aim for because or else it can be kind of hard to default into sort of like usual stereotypes for like characters.
Definitely.
If you have the trait rolls, at least you have a little bit of wiggle room and stuff like that. And what I kind of did with this one is for my ruling lady, I gave each of her kids one of the traits that she has.
Yes.
And then I made all of them competitive.
This is actually something that Keith I think introduced me to, introducing like roles from the parents' personality traits. So like you get the base personality roles, and then you get like 2 random ones from the parents, like 6 or whatever.
Yeah, rather than like just having the because normally when we've done like things game passed on from parents, it's just been like eye color or just physical traits. But it does make sense for how someone acts and behaves to somewhat be taken from their parents.
Yeah, sure.
Which I think makes a lot of sense. I don't know if we have, is that like an official, not official, but like a role that's on the optional roles section, or is it like a?
I don't think so. I might be giving away Keith's secrets here.
If someone's listening and wants to make it into a cheat, go ahead. And then sort of just to wrap up, I wanted to know maybe, do you have any predictions just in general for the game that, very minimal chance that they happen, but if they do happen, at least you can look back on this and be like, I guessed it right?
Oh, I'm not quite sure. I do predict that we're going to veer off canon really quickly, though.
Like wildly off canon?
Yeah, like a bunch of the like really important characters for like the book setting are born in like a year or two, and like there's no guarantee they'll be born here.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're gonna veer way off the fucking road. But my prediction.
You can predict a first canon death if you want.
I mean, I hope the first canon death will be Melee's, but I definitely think it'll be something in the. Actually, I anticipate that someone will cause some bullshit at the coronation feast and get either like arrested or executed because of it.
I want a duel in the Red Keep, like right in the hall.
That's a fairly safe prediction. Shit goes down at these things. So
People like a drunken brawl or something like that. Maybe a food fight.
Food fight at the coronation feast.
We need food fight mechs though.
True.
It's the one problem. Could use the archery mechs, just sort of change them a little bit.
Little cupcakes instead of arrows.
Yeah, exactly. With like a very minimal chance of death from like choking or something.
Dying in a food fight would be some good lore, though.
What if Tywin died in a food fight?
Oh god, restart the iteration.
Just blank slate, new one, start all over, do the apps.
Yeah.
Is there anything, before we wrap up that you kind of want to tell people, maybe in relation to Aerys or just the game in general, that you perhaps would want people to know, rather than, pinging everyone in a chat, or, yeah?
I guess the generic thing, this is sort of happening when, like, connections are happening, so definitely reach out to Hawk, Keith, or I if you want some connections in court, and we can see if we can work something out there. I'm really excited to play Aerys and to get to writing again. I haven't played a Targaryen in literally years, so.
Yeah, and I'm just excited, like you said, to write again as well, too. I wrote for the end game, and that kind of got my motivation going again, but I haven't really written since COB.
You're Fosterway, right?
Yep. Yeah. So I'll be on the opposite side of the war.
You're on, like, both sides of the fence with the bad apple.
Yeah, exactly. I literally get both sides. And I'm pretty excited. He's a fairly, he's canon, but he doesn't have a whole lot known about him.
Yeah, blank slate.
Yeah, exactly. So I've made, I like the background I've made for him. I'm excited to see how it turns out.
I look forward to killing him, so.
I'm hoping he doesn't die, actually. If he can slink through, I want him to, I don't know, maybe he'll join some of these bandits that are around. I don't know.
There are so many bandit orgs.
I know.
He'll have no problem fitting in.
People are going to be busy playing whack-a-mole. before they can even take care of melees. Well, anyways, Ingan, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how you writing Aerys turns out in this game.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It's a lot of fun to talk about this stuff in general. So, always happy.
Okay, so I am here with Norlium of House Lannister. Norlium, how's your day been, dude?
It's been pretty good. I just got beat at chess by a friend, but that's okay. That's all in the past. We're here.
It's all up from here, right?
Oh yeah.
So I just wanted to sort of start by not everyone knows Norlium, so maybe just giving a bit of your history with these games, and just maybe a little bit about yourself, anything that you want to give.
Oh yeah, of course. I think I'm definitely one of the newer members of the community. I claimed I want to say it was January 2022, so like 18 months ago. I picked up Moosin a few years after game start. And from there, I kind of plodded along. I had a lot of fun with Moosin, a lot of cool plot lines, including the end game events with Bob. That was
Thank you.
Well. And yeah, I got involved in the development for 9PK, the mod team and stuff like that. And then I apped Lannister, and here we are on my very first Bobcast episode. It's a momentous day.
Yeah, and congrats on getting Lannister as well too. It's not an easy feat.
Oh yeah, I was really excited to get it. It was competitive. I know Presta was one of the other claimants. He was really good guy.
And he beat me out on Reign, so.
Yeah. You were good for Reign. I didn't vote on any of those, but
no,
I think it'll be good for Fossaway.
Yeah, it's okay. I actually almost changed Fossaway to my first choice, like in the last couple of hours, so I wasn't too disappointed. And Prester's a good pick, anyways, for Reign. I think it was a good pick.
Oh yeah.
And so I kind of wanted to know, maybe as someone who you've played Moonton before and now you're going on a bigger claim, what do you feel is going to be like the biggest challenge moving from a smaller claim to an LP?
It's probably the level of responsibility in the sense of you're kind of, I don't want to say responsible because they aren't your children, but you kind of have some responsibility towards the other claimants. I think I've got 9 core claimants. I think 2 dynamic claims, Estrin and Clegane. So you've got to be dealing with these people on like a kind of deeper level, making sure there's kind of stuff going on. And on top of like mod responsibilities. But I'm looking forward to it. If I didn't think I was up to the challenge, I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have gone for Lannister.
Yeah, no, I think you'll be fine. It's like you said, it's just like a little bit more like hands-on than playing like a Moonton, but it's largely the same thing.
Yeah.
And so is there something, what was it with Lannister in particular that really got you wanting to app them?
So I know that a lot of people were apprehensive about a lot of the canon characters, but I thought that one of the biggest draws for me for Lannister was the amount of really interesting canon characters. Purely because they're like not, the Tywin we see in 260 AC, he's 18. He isn't the Tywin of 298 AC of the books.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really interested in kind of like taking some of these characters, like Tywin, like Kevin, like Jenna, and kind of like rolling them back, trying to see what they'd be like earlier in their lives, and then letting that develop. And then there's some other really interesting characters who we know really little about. So Margot Lannister, married to Lord Peake, she just has one line in one of the appendices in one of the books. So I'm really interested in taking a character like her and really fleshing her out, really giving her like a personality, a voice, something to do.
And so in particular, like, what is your sort of, it's obviously hard to tell before a game starts, but what is your plans for like those connections, and in particular Reign, because that was the thing that really drew me to wanting to app them. And I'm sure it was a reason for you as well too. Like, do you have sort of an idea for how you think that might start off?
Yeah, so when I've been doing a lot of, research for the claim, something I've kind of realized is that Tywin was one of the main instigators of the actual, fighting of the actual conflict.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very interested to see how he handles things when he gets back from the Stepstones, how Kevin handles things, and then I'm really excited to be working with Presta on, how how all of this got started. The truth behind some of the rumors, like A World of Ice and Fire says that Ellen Rain tried to seduce Lord Tytos. So we're trying to kind of figure out the truth of stuff like that to exactly see how the houses got to the point they are. In 262 AC in the normal timeline where Tywin drowns them all. That doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's things are probably going to heat up a little bit slower than in canon. 262 is not a whole lot of time from game start to then.
Yeah, I'd imagine it might take a few more years, but we'll see. It might not go that hot anyway. We'll see. But It's going to be interesting to find out.
And so you also have your co-claimant SCC player for Aaron as Joanna, right?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Very excited for that.
And have you guys worked out some stuff? Because I know that her and Tywin aren't married to start off, right?
No. So when we were doing the development, we didn't want to have any of the kind of LP cousin marriages. It's like Tywin and Joanna, or Rickard and Lyanna Stark married to start with. In case a claimant didn't want to RP of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But me and Aaron, we've talked a lot about plans. We're going to talk some more about it. How they're going to slot together at court. So we're just going to kind of take it from the start of game and see how it develops. They might get married, they might not. But whatever happens, I'm really excited to have Aaron on board. She's an amazing writer.
Yeah, you're very lucky, especially just for even one character like that.
Oh yeah.
It's good to get the different perspectives and.
Definitely.
Yeah. And so, is there kind of something as a region that you're kind of, perhaps storylines outside of Reign, or just a general feel that you're trying to maybe instill in the region, for all of you, in all the claimants, or are you kind of just gonna let things, play themselves out a little bit more?
Yeah, I definitely want people to have the kind of freedom to write their own stories, their own plot lines, right? I think part of the LP is giving people the space and the freedom to do that, and not jumping down people's throats if they don't kind of want me to. But I'm gonna put some other plates spinning. There's a little bit of tension in the Lannister family. Not everyone gets along. Surprise, surprise.
And Kevin was a Reign.
Yeah, that's something. That was a really interesting bit of canon tidbit. It's just listed. He squired for Lord Rain. So that's going to be a very interesting dynamic there. So there's going to be some tension in the Lannister family. There's other kind of interesting flashpoints like Jenna's betrothal to Aemon Frey. I'm curious to see how that plays out, because obviously she isn't starting the game married.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm also just generally going to be trying to foster a kind of interesting court atmosphere, because Lord Tytos, famously open-handed, famously weak-willed, so a lot of people are going to have positions at court. A lot of people are going to be trying to jockey for his favour, because if you kind of speak to him the most, speak to him last, get your voice heard the most and the loudest, there's a good chance he does what they want, which is going to be interesting. He's not going to be making the optimal decisions, the best decisions necessarily, so I'm happy to, play that out, see what happens.
And people know that going into the game, which is the interesting thing. It's not something they have to discover with the character.
Yeah, exactly. It's, very well known in canon, the laughing lion, people start laughing at him rather than with him. And then I've tried to make it clearer in some of the kind of early game lore that I've been putting out. And, just the conversations I've been having, this guy is weak-willed, he doesn't really have a spine. He's a nice person. He sees the best in everyone, but he kind of takes it too far. The virtue becomes a vice, I think.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it, especially. And so, more so than any other region, and especially with the new way, old way mechs for the Ironborn, how do you feel about that region? Having it right there as well, too. How do you feel about them, and do you have sort of an idea of what might transpire, or is it going to just be completely cut off from the start?
I honestly wouldn't like to say. I think there's some really amazing Iron Islands claimants. You've got Plass, you've got Toxin, you've got Fisher, you've got obviously Sketchy and Rami as Greyjoy. So gonna have a lot of fun there. But I'm curious to see what they do. I'm fine with letting them be if they don't try and raid my shores.
Yeah, poke their nose in the West's affairs.
Oh god, no, I wouldn't want that. But yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting potential of the kind of old way, new way splits of maybe one of the new way claimants trying to kind of ingratiate themselves to the west, of the north of Riverlands, So I'm curious to see if that ends up happening. But if they give us any trouble, I'll happily take them to take them to task.
Yeah, you'll bite back. You're not gonna.
Yeah, this is where I should use some like lion metaphor, but I'm all out of.
Yeah, at least you get to use lion metaphors. I just use apple metaphors.
Oh, there's probably a few of them.
Yeah.
Apple a day keeps the maester away. Is that one?
Yeah, rotten. Someone being rotten.
Yeah.
Or not ripe. I don't know. It's not as cool as lions and bears,
You've got
but
the bad apple though.
oh no, I know. I'm very excited to play him.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I would be too. Great character.
See if he survives.
You never know. Stranger things have happened.
Speaking of deaths, actually, do you have a prediction for first canon death?
Oh, well, it's funny. I'm going to be sending quite a lot of characters to the Stepstones. In canon, House Lannister sent at least 4. They sent Jason, who died, and then they sent Tywin, Kevin, and Tygert, who's 10 years old. They sent a 10-year-old into the battle to kill people.
Just Game of Thrones stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So I honestly think that the first canon death could be a Lannister. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know who, but I'm sending enough people that I think it's in the realm possibility.
Hopefully not Tywin, I will say.
Oh no. I don't want to say plans. I think I know what I would do if Tywin died. I wouldn't be completely left adrift. Tywin's a great character, but I didn't claim House Lannister only for him.
I mean, Kevin would be next in line, and Kevin's not.
Yeah.
He's an interesting character in his own right.
Yeah, Kevin's really interesting because when we see him in canon, he's much more settled into the kind of Tywin's number 2 role. The whole they will burn my lord, or the just man speech
Mm-hmm.
that he gives to Tyrion. And he still kind of is that at this point. He's very much Tywin's man. But I'm curious to see how Kevin would develop. If he was, the heir, the man himself. So
yeah, independently.
It would suck. But yeah, I think it'd be interesting. Apart from Lannisters, I do wonder if that could be like some other big Lord Paramount death, like maybe Ormond obviously dies in canon. I wonder if Aerys will die. I thought about that.
God, I will say I hope not. I don't know. I think I'd be pretty disappointed actually if Aerys died.
Yeah, he's an interesting character just because he's so dynamic. He's so mercurial, and he's not quite mad yet, so he's less liable to burn the walls. It's I want to build a city here. I want to build.
Yeah, I want to see him develop.
Oh yeah, Ingan's a really great writer, so I'm gonna be looking forward to writing with him to kind of flesh out the Tywin-Aerys relationship, and with Rangi as well, because Stefan is kind of in the mix there, in that dynamic.
And lucky for you, I will be putting you and Ingan in the same episode, which will be the next one. So.
Oh, let's go. It's already starting the Tywin-Aerys stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Norlium, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me and do this. Before we go, is there anything you want to say to anyone, to the players, either in your region or just in general, just before we sign off?
Nothing specific. Just I'm really excited to be, starting my first ever game. I didn't start for the beginning of ATD, so I'm really excited to be starting 9PK. I'm really excited to be writing with everyone, meeting new people, writing with people in the West especially. So I hope everyone has just a good time. Everyone's worked really hard.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Norlium. I'm excited to see how you write everyone, Tywin and co. included.
Oh, yeah. I'm nervous, but I'm excited.
Oh yeah, we'll go fine. Don't worry. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. And like I said, thank you for taking the time to do this.
Thank you for having me.